So I'm curious, what does discipline mean to you guys? What does that mean?
But
Doing things you
should
don't want to
be
do all the time,
mhm,
things you don't want to do. I like it. You're disciplined because you don't want to do it, but you do it anyway. Okay. What else?
that you should be focused on the task on what you're doing and
Dang.
to do it like whoever said that to do it what you don't want to do it.
What else?
What the-
I can wait longer than you. Come on, one more person. What does discipline mean? What does that mean to you when I say discipline? That is a disciplined person. She is disciplined.
Committed. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say committed. You're kind of like on a schedule. You're disciplined in that way.
Dedicated. I like that. You're dedicated to it. Carly, were you going to say something?
I just said committed. Committed.
So we're doing the things that we know need to be done, even when we don't feel like it. So, what are those things? What are the things that we must be disciplined about in our lives?
Lead gen and time,
And what was that?
time,
Time.
like schedule.
Yep. Time management, our schedule. And I
and
mean in all aspects of life, not just business. Go ahead, Andy.
continuing to follow up with people.
Follow up is a huge one for discipline because when we call somebody and they don't answer, when we text somebody and they leave us on red, that gets to us, right? Or a majority of us, maybe not everybody. I know it gets to me. I'm like, at least respond to me. Like, fine. So do we want to follow up with them? I don't. I don't want to follow up with them. You think, I don't want to follow up with you. Do I need to?
Yeah.
Right? I got to take my feelings out of it. We got to take our feelings out of it, right? And not have our feelings attached to an outcome. What were you saying?
I
Sorry.
was going to say you got your feelings hurt. That's why you didn't want to do it. When I used to sell tools, go through people and they'd curse at you and hang up because you're talking to contractors and they're rough guys. One of the things that we used to joke with each other about, especially if we saw somebody getting down a little bit, we'd look at them and say, "What'd they do? Hurt your last feeling? You got no more left? Come on, let's go." Just before our thing yesterday, I had a client call me who I texted probably a month ago and he didn't respond. And he called me. He's been looking at trying to sell his house and buy a new one up in the Shoemakersville area. He called me out of the blue yesterday. I had no idea it was coming. He's like, "I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I've been busy with work. Life's been crazy. I think I'm finally ready to do things if the market's going to let me." We talked for 45 minutes. He said, and I helped him sell his house in 2016. No business with him since then, though we tried a couple times. He said, "The one reason I'm going to continually call you and trust you is because you always stay in touch with me through all these years, even if nothing's going on, even if we're not ready."
Yeah. It's huge. It's building trust. It's showing people I don't care if I'm going to get a paycheck out of you. I care about you. I care about building that relationship. And that's a discipline that we all have to instill. I know a lot of agents, good agents, high producing agents that don't keep touch. I'll go on a listing appointment. I'll go and I always look who was the previous agent. I'm, holy crap, that's a really high producing agent. And I'll ask, why did you choose me? A lot of times it's because people don't keep in touch, doesn't care anymore, right? They haven't created that habit
Mm.
to continue that follow up. And that's kind of, if I remember correctly, and Will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's also what the chapter talks about is building those habits, creating the discipline
Yep.
to build those habits. And then you don't have to have discipline anymore because you've created the habit now.
Well, and the chapter goes in to specify a little bit. Like From what everybody said when we were starting out the conversation, it sounds like, and I was the same way until I read this book. Having a discipline in life after you go through so many different trainings and so many different things that you need to do to market yourself or that you can do, or things that you're supposed to do. You got social media, you got Popeyes, you got postcards, you got mailers, you got thank you card things, so many different things to do, videos. You don't have to be perfect at everything. It's not that you have to do everything perfectly every day on time. You have to pick the things you're going to do, the right things, and do those and build habits for those. This is one of the reasons I always bring up, you're going to run your business the way you're going to run your business. There's no way any agent can possibly do all of the things that we get taught we should are helpful for our business. Each of us can only do so many things in a day. So you got to pick the things that you have passion about and that you can get into, things that are going to be effective, no matter how much passion you have. If it's not effective, you're wasting your time. 3 things you can commit to make your business run. Katie runs her business a whole lot different than a lot of other people. Some people focused on foreclosure. Some people focus on doing the expired thing. Some people focus on working with investors. Some people do commercial. How you run your business is how you run your business. You have to build how that model's going to work and what your vision for it is, and then pick the things that you need to be disciplined about, because those are the things that are going to drive your business. Lead gen is always going to be one of those things, but lead gen is one of the most generic terms that you're ever going to hear. It isn't just that you're going to do lead gen, it's going to be how you do it. Probably no matter how our businesses work, phone calls and text messages to stay in contact with our clients and keep that relationship strong always have to be a part of it. But what method you're using to generate that new business, that's up to you.
Yeah.
And what it says directly in the book is success is about doing the right thing, not about doing everything right. And that's huge.
So let's
The other
talk
thing is
about that.
that part of
Okay,
it
yep.
says success is actually a short race. It's a sprint fueled by discipline just long enough for habits to kick in and take over. Anybody have thoughts on that? Katie, you were starting to say something?
I'll wait and see if anybody wants to add to that before I wanted to piggyback off of something you said. Does anybody have anything they want to add? How does that resonate with you?
I like that second part after you sprint, like the habits take over. I feel like I'm still working on that. I still get overwhelmed with the possibilities of things I can do. I do still schedule, but then I have my other job that I have to go to. So it conflicts it. And for a few days, I don't lead generate and I get anxious. I feel like my job is in the way, but I can't leave it yet.
Well, you bear what you have to bear to get where you want to be. But you'll get there if you keep chugging.
And the fact that you're aware of that, where you can tweak things as you go, that's a plus too.
Yeah, I responded back to you. I wasn't sure which part you meant. So what I was kind of thinking as Will was talking is, how do we figure out what the right thing is that we need to be doing in a world of all of the training, all of the things, everything that we should be doing? How do we know what's the right thing? I used to have this problem all the time. I was that new agent where I went to a class and I said, "Oh, I'm doing it." And I would do it and half-ass it. And guess what? Nothing happened. I was that agent until maybe 2, 3 years ago. And next year is my 10th year. So until 2 or 3 years, probably 3 years ago now, is when I realized, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're running on a hamster wheel nonstop and not achieving things. So how do we figure out what those priorities are? Or what do you guys think?
I think you should find what works. Like
How
if
do
you
we
want to do
find that out?
farming, if you want to do farming, door knocking, do that solidly and see if you get anything back. If you're going to do cold callings, start doing that for weeks. Like instead of just doing everything and getting overwhelmed, you can see what works for you by trying everything and giving it its time.
Of how much time should we give something before we kind of abandon ship or readjust?
Or even assess, really.
How long do you guys think? I heard Sarita say a couple weeks.
I feel
Oh.
like you told us a few months, like 3 months last time.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3 months too.
I honestly, I don't know the answer to it. I am a big believer you should give it at least 3 months. At least 3 months, depending what it is. Solid 3 months, not a bullshit once a week on social media. It's every single day for 2 hours a day for a solid 3 months. I am doing whatever the thing is that I said I was going to do. Then, and this is just me, okay? Anybody else, I would love for you to have input. After that 3 months, I'm going to reassess what Will just said. I'm going to audit my business. I use the word audit quite a bit with what I do. Every quarter, I look at what I do. I look at all my numbers. I look at what my production was. I look at the activities I'm doing. And if I notice that I'm sending out hundreds of dollars in mailers, and if I haven't gotten anything in those 3 months from it, I'm auditing it. Is there something wrong with the postcard? Do I need to change the verbiage? Do I need to just abandon ship completely and shift? Right? I'm reassessing everything. And then I'm either going to say, okay, I'm going to stick with it, but I'm going to adjust. Or I'm going to say, you know what? I've been mailing and it's just not getting me anything. I'm not going to spend the money here. I'm going to put the money somewhere else instead. So I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, go ahead, Andy.
The one situation I realized yesterday with my buyer client is that they're all over the place with what they want and how they want it. Instead of waiting on them to send me a property, I looked at a couple of other properties and I found something that's in their purview. So we're going to look at it on Friday.
Perfect.
So I just sort of took charge a little bit more than normal.
Yeah.
Instead
Exactly.
of thinking, what do they want? Where do they want it? And they go from like 1 bath to 2 bath, they're all over the place. So it's like, well, do I sit back and let them just feed me some properties or go ahead and look for some properties too? It sort of goes back and forth at times, but still it's something that I realize that I just need to start to be more diligent at myself.
Do you have them on an MLS search?
Yes.
Sometimes that can help too if you dial in your criteria.
Yeah. Well, now I'm learning that I can be a little bit more broad, but price ranges are most important.
Got it.
So what else comes to mind? How are we feel like? Do we feel like we have a grasp on our discipline? Do we feel like we need to work through it better? How do you guys feel you are with discipline? Are we doing the things that we need to be doing every day?
Could be better. And I agree with Sarita too, because I do work a full-time job. So I do feel like that does get in the way sometimes. So I'm right there with
Let me hit on the people with full-time jobs because when I got into this, I was working 3 other jobs. I totally understand when we have a full-time job or we have kids or we're taking care of parents. What do we have to do in our business?
Prioritize.
We
Yeah.
have to prioritize, right? So you don't have 8 hours a day to do. Honest to God, now that I'm sitting here, I'm a dual career agent. I coach and I run a real estate business.
Yep.
Shit. I'm dual career as well.
Yes, you are.
I literally just hit me.
Yeah, but the one thing that's a benefit for you, and it's actually a symptom of your success having gotten out of your other work, is you're a dual career because you have a passion for something and wanted to do it in addition to real estate. And actually, that really reads into one of the points in the book here, one of the quotes in here that I highlighted. When you do the right thing, it can liberate you from having to do things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So for you guys that have full-time jobs, figuring out what that thing is and diving in. I didn't have tons of money because I had just gotten fired from a full-time job and I became a realtor that same month, basically. And I had no clients and I had no income. So I became an Uber driver by default just to pay the bills. So I was working like 90 hours a week. And when I was doing real estate, I had to pick the things and I had to be cheap.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at what my plan would be for how real estate worked, I knew a ton of people. It was all phone calls, text messages. There was no postcards. There was no anything that cost me a dime because I was barely making it. So it was all on effort and hustle. But you know what? I did 3 million my first full year and I made 90 grand in commissions my first full year. So you can do it and you don't have to spend money and do all kinds of fancy things. You just have to really leverage those relationships. And how you leverage them is certainly up to you because it depends on how you build relationships with people. If you're doing the right thing and you're doing it consistently and every day, I mean, I was doing phone calls while I was out 14 hours a day in my car, sitting in a parking lot in McDonald's, talking to people and doing my lead gen.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarita, you do that same thing. Sarita's, you've been telling us how you go on your half-hour lunch break and you're not scrolling on your phone, you're making your calls. So, we've talked about in the past, how many of us go to the doctor's office? We go to kids' sporting events and we've got an hour. We've got 10, 15 minutes because we always know the doctor doesn't take us right away. So you're sitting there for 10, 15 minutes. What would look like if in those 10 minutes you texted 5 people instead of scrolling on your phone? What would that look like? What would it look like if at the end of the night, instead of sitting on the couch and watching TV all night, we did yoga? We wrote down in a journal our wins for the day. We wrote our gratitude down. What would life look like if we just changed small little things? And so I really want you guys to think about that because that's the core of discipline there. It's knowing I have to make a change. It's just like anything, eating, your career, your relationships, whatever it is. It's the small changes and they all don't have to happen at once, right? It's one thing that we start to change and then it blossoms from there. But it starts with that discipline.
If it's okay, there's a couple of things just because we're getting to the end of our time. A couple of key takeaways that I'd like to go over fast so that we're hitting the rest of this chapter and getting all. We're talking a lot about building habits. So for one thing, let's remember a few things. Success isn't simultaneous. It's sequential. You can't really build 19 habits at one time. It just does not work. We don't have the capacity as humans to do that. But we can build one. And it's going to take time. A habit doesn't happen overnight. There was actually studies done when this book was written. And according to whoever did the study, you can read it when you read the book. It takes an average of 66 days to acquire a new habit. When you start the habit, you have energy. You're excited about starting. So it's easy to begin with. After a little bit, maybe a week or so, that's when the challenge comes in because now you have to really dial in and be disciplined for the short period to get through the phases of building that habit. On average, it can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days to build a habit, but the average is 66, depending on the difficulty and aversion to the habit and how you work. Give your habits time to build and don't give up on building them before they're automatic. The habit should be strong enough that if you don't do it that day, you don't feel right. And
Like
another
showering.
thing,
It's like showering and brushing your teeth.
it should be that uncomfortable. And then the other thing, don't be a disciplined person. Just be a person that builds powerful habits. If you need to build habits and a system for yourself, pick the first habit. Pick the most important thing first, because if you build that first habit, that's going to impact your business and life. The one thing tells us to ask, what's the one thing I can do right now that's going to make everything else I need to do either easier or unnecessary. And if you pick that first powerful habit, it should make everything else you need to do easier. Build one habit at a time. Don't try to, Rome wasn't built in a day. Take your time, do it the right way, and give yourself the chance to have enough time put into the habit. But if you're going to spend 66 days building a habit, make sure it's one you really want and need. Because I have habits of scrolling on my phone, and that's just not the habit I need to have. Any thoughts?
I think that's the other thing too, is being able to identify and realize those bad habits that we have and being able to break those as well. So I've got a really bad habit of scrolling on my phone at night, and I've gotten really bad at it the past couple months. We have to acknowledge the bad habit, but then we also have to make that change. So we're at 9 o'clock. I've got to run to an appointment. Do we have anything else before we wrap it up? Any thoughts, ahas, anything we want to say before I let y'all go?
Next week, we got chapter 7. Chapter 7 is on will call.